Tom Aspinall has been one of the most promising heavyweight fighters for years now, and you could see his development from its earliest stages. For a fighter who manages to get so many quick finishes, you can't really say that Aspinall rushes anything. In this bout's short run time, quite a lot went down. Tom stuffed a weak takedown attempt, used his stellar grappling to control top position, and ground and pounded his way towards a submission to punches, meaning his opponent tapped out. Pure dominance from this British debutant, and trust us, the best is yet to come. It's easy to think of Aspinall's fast hands and solid boxing as his main skill set, but his foundation is actually deeply rooted in BJJ, and when Ricky King made the mistake of trying to take Tom down, probably to avoid that big power, found himself in a very awkward position straight off the bat. Aspinall was already hunting for a leg, and sure enough, once he got it, he did not let go. You could just see that Aspinall was starting to feel confident in his stand-up at this point in time. When he took on Kamil Basilak, he decided to let his hands fly a bit, gauging the distance and showing solid head movement before springing the trap and landing a huge shot that stunned his target. From there, the ground and pound was a simple formality. Aspinall was growing into an increasingly well-rounded threat. The UFC debut would not come for him just yet. Remember, if you're enjoying this content, be sure to leave a like and a comment before subscribing to the channel so you don't miss a single upload. If you're looking for the fight and the performance that earned Aspinall his UFC contract, this is it. The level of boxing he was displaying early on was already showing just how much he'd been working on it. But as the commentators were openly wondering whether Aspinall might be better served shooting for a takedown and using his main skills, the grappling, he landed a huge combo that culminated in one massive knockdown for the win. Dana White and his team were obviously paying attention. With another first-round win under his belt, UFC could not resist any longer. Composure was Aspinall's biggest strength when he got in there with Jake Collier. His ability to avoid his opponent's half-hearted attempts at offense were augmented by some excellent feinting. Tom seemed to have this fight totally under control within the opening 15 seconds. By the time the clock hit 45 seconds, he already sent Collier crashing to the canvas for a highlight reel finish and a $50K performance bonus. Coming into his second fight, the global MMA community had certainly taken notice of Aspinall's talents, were quickly hailing him as a promising prospect from the European scene. But the pressure that comes with that did not seem to bother him in the slightest, and after being bull-rushed by Alan Baudot in his second outing, Aspinall easily began to overpower his opponent, establishing a strong top control before hammering his rival out with punches and elbows for the easy TKO. Now, the UFC fans had caught a glimpse of the other side of Tom's game. Needless to say, they were pretty impressed. Facing off with a bona fide legend of the octagon like Andrei Arlovski is always going to be an interesting test for a rising talent. Sure, the former champ is most certainly past his prime, but even still, if you get a little hazy under the bright lights, he definitely still has more than enough in the tank to make it a tough night for you. Arlovski's experience was enough to see him survive the opening round, but just as the commentator Michael Bisping was openly questioning how this might affect Tom's confidence, Aspinall shot in for a rapid takedown, immediately took Andrei's back, and tapped him out with almost no resistance. That's some insanely quick work from Tom Aspinall to capture a spot in the ranking. Amazing clinch work was the name of the game as Tom stepped in there with Sergey Spivak, probably the firmest test of his career to date. After a feeling out process, you can see Tom setting up his killing blow a mile away, using knees to establish space in the clinch before expertly timing a huge elbow that caught his opponent totally off guard. With Spivak stunned, it did not take long for Tom to move in and secure an easy TKO victory. If you're looking for the first masterpiece of Aspinall's career, his showdown with the highly underrated and tricky Alexander Volkov was exactly that. All of the things that make Aspinall great were on full display here. His timing, his speed, sublime work in the clinch, excellent takedowns, and of course, his stellar jiu-jitsu to cap it all off. He beat the brakes off of Volkov from the opening exchange, utilizing the clinch excellently to navigate his opponent's tremendous size. When he eventually dodged a punch and shot in for the takedown, he immediately began putting his black belt to use, securing the straight armbar to close out yet another first-round finish. An amazing performance in front of an English crowd that introduced this prospect firmly to the top 10. Curtis Blaydes might have fallen to the punching power of some ferocious hitters in recent years, but there's no denying that he's a stiff test for anyone who wants to break into the division's top 5. Unfortunately, we didn't really get an answer to how this matchup would play out, as Aspinall's knee would give out after just 15 seconds, leading to Blaydes getting a TKO win. It would be 364 days until we saw Tom make that walk to the octagon again. Thankfully, as one one of the younger fighters in the division, time was very clearly on his side. That long layoff from action really did take some wind out of Tom's sails, and understandably so, but after about a year spent sitting on the sidelines, the time eventually did come for Britain's most promising prospect to make his return. With Marcin Tybura in front of him, the promotion gave Tom a winnable but certainly interesting test to see exactly where he would fit in as the division continued to move. In classic Aspinall fashion, this did not take him long. Not at all. And once Tybura felt the power coming back at him, he crumbled to the mat. It took just over a minute for Tom to register his 4th performance bonus in 5 fights, with the Blades fight being the only time we didn't see Tom get that $50K check. A step in the right direction, Tom Aspinall was back. Sometimes fate throws you opportunity. It's up to you to be ready to receive it. For Tom, this came when the chance to take on the hard-handed, fearsome Russian powerhouse Sergey Pavlovich on just 1 month's worth of notice. Sergey had a full camp behind him, but for Tom, ensuring that he was sharp enough to avoid the early storm of Pavlovich would have to be front and center in his limited preparation. Fans of Aspinall openly wondered whether he was risking too much in a very high-stakes game. But as it turned out, this couldn't be further from the truth. No, Aspinall was the danger, and after eating a solid shot from Sergey well, he laid the hulking Russian behemoth out with a huge punch, knocking him out cold to win the UFC interim heavyweight title. It was a shockingly good performance, and an explosive way to announce himself into the pound-for-pound rankings. The question now is whether Tom will get his well-deserved shot at Jon Jones before the champ inevitably hangs up his gloves once and for all. What do you think? Is Tom Aspinall the best heavyweight fighter on the planet? Plus, how do you think a fight between a fully fit Jones and him would play out, if it ever did get signed? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.